Okay, so by this time, methods of reproduction. Okay po? So we know that reproduction is one properties of life. Okay, so without reproduction, so we cannot survive. We cannot survive. We cannot make it through up until this time. Okay po? So methods. So by this time, we're going to talk about methods of reproduction. So there are many ways for a particular organism to reproduce. Okay, so iba-iba yung pamamaraan, iba-iba yung sistema ng pag-reproduce. Okay po? So, but basically, yung magiging focus natin ngayon is just the basics of reproduction. Okay po? So, yung I want you to be in line with the different terminologies about reproduction then. So, madami yan. Okay? So, pero, pag-uusapan natin dito yung basics na pwede nyo mas maintindihan. Okay po, as grade 7. Okay? So, methods of reproduction. In reproduction, meron tayo class na sexual and asexual reproduction. So, from time to time, I'm going to shift from one presentation to another. Okay po? Pero I'm going to start with this presentation. Okay? So, meron tayong dalawa, sexual and asexual. So, pag sinabi natin class na sexual, it involves sex. Okay? So, we know that we have male and female sex. Okay? So, wala yung in-between when it comes to biology. So, male and female sex. Pag sinabi naman natin class na asexual reproduction, so it does not include the male and female sex. So, pag-uusapan natin yun ngayon dito. Okay? So, for asexual reproduction, halimbawa, you're going to reproduce, you will only need one parent, and the offspring are an exact copy of the parent. So that's asexual. So walang father, walang mother, only the parent, only one parent. Okay? And the offspring is a clone. Pag sinabing clone, exact copy of the parent. So whatever, kung ano yung itsura ng parent, so that will be the itsura nung offspring. Okay, so that's asexual reproduction. It just only requires one parent. Okay? So organisms that reproduce asexually cannot develop much variety. So walang variation or walang anong tawag dito, genetic variation na tinatawag. So because they are exact replicas. So magkapareho. Kung ano yung properties, kung ano yung content ng parent, so that will be the properties and content of the offspring. Pag sinabi class na offspring, yung anak niya. Okay? So yan. So exactly. Okay? So methods of asexual reproduction can be number 1, binary fission. Anyway, you can open your book on page 130 kasi that's the start of the discussion up until 144. Okay po? So, para at least makasabay kayo. Okay? So, yan. So, binary fission. So, number 1. Number 2, we have budding. So, budding. Okay? Next, number 3, we have fragmentation. Okay, fragmentation, or they call it as regeneration. Next, we have parthenogenesis. Okay, so meron niya 4. Okay, so basically, we have 4 modes or methods of asexual. Pag sinabing asexual, it does not include the male and female sex. It doesn't include the mother and father. It only has one parent. Okay? So, yan. So, these are the methods. So, tandaan nyo po yung terms: binary fission, budding, fragmentation, and parthenogenesis. Okay? So, what about binary fission? So, if you look at your book, yung binary fission, so that's in, wait lang, tingnan natin sa book. Okay, that's in 134 of your book. So, binary fission, this is only for single-celled organism. Okay? So, single-celled organism, that means these are organisms that is composed only of one cell. Okay pa? So, like amoeba, like paramecium, okay, like euglena. Okay, so these are single-celled eukaryotes. So, which use asexual reproduction. Okay, so this can be done by simply dividing into two equal halves. So, hahatiin lang yung isang parent, magiging dalawa. Okay? And they are of exact replica. So, you call this one class as binary fission. Okay? So, kung makikita mo dito sa book, okay? So, it involves the replication of genetic material. Can you still remember the genetic material? So, the genetic material we have is yung anong tawag dito? DNA. Okay, so and the subsequent division or splitting of the cell into two genetically identical daughter cell. From one parent cell to two genetically identical. Pag sinabing genetically identical, they are the same as the content of genes as with the parents. Okay, so binary fission may be transverse. Pag sinabi natin class na term, transverse, the cell divides across a short axis or longitudinal. So in which the cell divides across a long axis or random or no axis involved. So it can have an axis dividing the parent into daughter cells or no. Okay? So yan, kung makikita nyo to class. So this one is the binary fission for amoeba. Okay, so amoeba is a single-celled eukaryote. Okay, so it divides, okay, after it has grown to a certain size. Ibig sabihin, whenever the amoeba has matured, so ganito na yung itsura niya, then it starts to divide. So the pseudopodia are pulled in and the nucleus divides. So pag sinabing pseudopodia class, pseudo means false, podia means fit. False fit, para siyang naghihiwalay into two. Okay, then the nucleus also divides into two. Okay, so the cell body begins to divide when the nucleus has split. So, tingnan nyo, from the parent cell to two daughter cells which are the same exact replicas as with the parent cell. Okay, then these two daughter amoebae are formed. Okay, and this will mature, then eventually will divide again. And then the cycle goes after. Okay, so yan. So when conditions are good, such as plenty of water, food, right temperature, so binary fission is very effective way of producing many offspring. Okay, binary fission is one of the effective ways, especially for bacteria. Madaling mag-reproduce because binary fission lang yung kanilang mode of reproduction. Okay? So for example, the cell of paramecium can divide, grow, and divide again in the space of 8 hours. For example, meron tayong paramecium na 8. So after 8 hours, magiging ilan yan? 16. So nadodoble sila. Okay po? Then, after 8 hours, 16 times 2, 32. Okay, so, in just short span of time, okay, so they reproduce quickly. Okay, meron nga niyan minute lang, meron nga niyang seconds lang. Okay po? So, it depends on, it depends on these factors. Okay? Water, food, temperatures, resources. Okay? So, yan. So, for budding, okay, pag sinabi natin class na budding, bud, okay, so an offspring grows out of the body of the parent. So, ibig sabihin, parang parang umuusbong siya sa katawan ng parent. Then, after that, it will become another type of organism. So, tingnan nyo to, this one is an hydra. A hydra, one of the smallest fish. So, kung makikita nyo class, hydra, yan, meron siyang bud. Okay? And this bud will come out from the mother hydra. Okay? And once that matures, it will separate, then becomes another organism. Hydra organisms. Okay po? So, same thing with the cactus budding, di ba? Kapag pinunit mo yung isang bud, itinanim mo, tutubo siya and it will grow to another organism, di ba? So, that's example of budding. An offspring grows out of the body of the parent. Imagine niyo na lang kung budding yung mode of reproduction natin. Halimbawa ngayon si Stacy lalabas sa parent niya sa kamay tapos magiging separate organism. So that is for budding. Okay? So ganyan lang yung budding, ha? So okay, it's a form of asexual reproduction. Okay po? So ang tawag dun sa outgrowth na yung class is bud. Okay? So you call this outgrowth is that is bud. Okay? B-U-D, hindi yung bud na ano. So buds develop due to the repeated cell division. So buds form in the food if the food is abundant in the area where organism lives. So the new organism will only detach from the parent organism when it is mature to be ready to live by itself. So itong hydra bud na to, it will detach from his parent if matured na siya, na pwede na siyang makapag-live all alone. Okay po? So, yan. Okay, so also, yung sa yeast, alam nyo class yung yeast, yung pampaalsa sa tinapay, if you are fond of baking breads, di ba one of the ingredients is yeast. Yeast a single cell fungus. So, it's ang form ng reproduction niya is budding. So madali 'di bang mag-reproduce yung yeast? Okay? So budding kasi yung ano niya, one of the mode of reproduction of the yeast. Okay po? Yung yeast na merong Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Okay po? So that's the scientific name of yeast. Okay po? So yan. Yeast, hydra, cactus, okay, and other kind of plant, 'di ba yung plant na merong mga budding, okay? So yun po yung example ng budding. Okay, merong outgrowth na tinatawag na bud. Okay? So in yeast cells, the cell does not divide equally in two halves. 'Di ba? Unlike with binary fission, exact magkaparehas yung laki pagkaka-divide nila, okay? Pero sa budding, so hindi. Okay? Mother should be large at first, then the daughter should be small. Okay? So, maliit lang siya. So, yan. Tignan nyo yung yeast. Hindi siya considered as, yung sa yeast, hindi siya considered as binary fission just because, sige na po, just because, the daughter cell is smaller as compared to the size of the parent cell. Okay po? So, kaya yung sa yeast cell, that is not considered as binary fission. Instead, that is budding. Okay po? Do not forget that. Okay, for the next one, we have fragmentation. So, fragmentation, sometimes it's called as regeneration. Okay? So, pag sinabing fragmentation, the body of the parent breaks into certain or distinct pieces. Okay, halimbawa napuputol, okay, or nagkakahiwa-hiwalay. And these pieces class, each of these will become an offspring. Okay, so tignan natin. Kung makikita nyo, this is notable in yung mga marine organisms like starfish, like corals. Okay, so ito, pieces of coral broken off in the storms, halimbawa bumagyo, okay? These pieces will then eventually grow into new colonies. Okay po, so that is one example of fragmentation. Also, a new starfish can grow from one detached arm. Okay, so halimbawa, naputol yung isang arm ng starfish, then that single arm will eventually become another starfish. Okay po? So that is fragmentation. fragmentation. Okay? So as I said, it's oftenly called as regeneration, pero meron silang pinagkaiba. Yung fragmentation, yung single pieces, it will grow into another offspring. Pero pag sinabi natin class na, ang difference, pag sinabi natin regeneration, kapag may naputol na kamay, for example, or buntot, tutubo siya ulit. So you call that class as regeneration. So yung regeneration is notable for lizards, for reptiles. Halimbawa, yung butike, naputol yung buntot, then eventually, tutubo siya into another form of tail naman. Okay po? So you call that as regeneration. Okay? So pag sinabing regeneration, it's the ability to grow back any missing parts of the body. Okay? So examples nito class, yung sa lizard, complex animals na lizard. Okay po? So yan. Okay. So, yun po yung pinagkaiba. Next. Okay, so fragmentation in plants naman. Okay? So, some plants can grow from cutting them up and replanting them. Diba? Yung mga nanay nyo, kung mahilig sila sa mga tanim, there are plants or yung mga ornamental plants na kapag kumuha ka lang ng dahon, for example, or branch of plant, itanim mo siya, so tutubo siya into another plant. Okay, so that's one example of fragmentation. Okay, so also for plants. Okay, so yan. So green plants are quite sophisticated in their methods of asexual reproduction. So offspring may be reproduced by runners, bulbs, rhizomes, or tubers. So kung makikita nyo, in plants, makikita nyo siya dyan. So that's on page 136. That is a vegetative propagation na tinatawag. Okay po? So it can be, okay, so let me repeat, green plants are quite sophisticated in their methods of asexual reproduction. So offspring may be reproduced by runners, bulbs, rhizomes, or tubers. So pag-usapan na natin yung runners na muna. Okay? So for the runners, this can be also called as stolons. Okay, so runners, slender prostate branch with nodes and internodes that grow above the ground. So the nodes develop roots and buds that grow into a new plant. Examples, strawberry and grass plants. Diba? Yung sa runners and stolons, one good example of this, yung sa kamote. Diba yung kamote, kapag tinanim mo, so meron siyang runner na nasa ibabaw ng lupa. Meron siyang nodes. Each node, meron niyang tutubong dahon or bud. Okay, then it will grow another roots, and that's a separate plant. Okay? So, yan. So, madami yan. Also with the bulbs. Okay, so pag sinabing bulbs, these are short, underground stems with fleshy leaves called scales that store food. Examples are tulip, onion, di ba? Yung onion. So kapag tinanim mo siya, okay, so yung scales niya, okay, na nagsusstore ng food. Okay, so these are underground stems. Okay, so we have also rhizomes. Pag sinabing rhizomes, these are long, horizontal underground stems and with nodes and internodes, so like ginger. Okay po, so that's rhizomes. We have tubers. Tubers are swollen parts of an underground stem with pits or eyes where buds grow and develop into a new plant. Okay, examples of these are sweet potato, yam, carrot, cassava. Okay, so these are tubers. So pakibasa na lang po nung the rest kasi there are other. Okay? So next in line of the asexual reproduction, we have class parthenogenesis. Okay, so parthenogenesis is a form of asexual reproduction in which females reproduce eggs that develop without fertilization. Okay? 'Di ba merong certain animals na nag-iitlog siya pero kahit hindi naman sila nag-mate or kahit wala namang sperm or ano lang, walang males. So, nagpo-produce lang sila ng egg. So, ang tawag dito class parthenogenesis because this egg will develop into a mature another organism. Okay? So, this is notable for invertebrates along with several fish, amphibians, reptiles, as well as many plants. Okay po? Okay, so wala siya sa mammals, yung sa parthenogenesis. Okay? So, yan kasi yung mammals hindi naman nag-iitlog. Okay? So, what is sexual naman? So, doon naman tayo sa sexual. Kung sa asexual class, isang parent lang ang kailangan. Dito naman sa sexual, it requires two parents. And the two parents should be a male and female. Okay po, dapat babae and lalaki. So, yan, hindi ka makakabuo kung parehas babae sa sexual reproduction. Hindi ka makakabuo kung parehas lalaki. Okay? So, yan, it should be male and female. Okay? So, the egg and sperm, kasi it produces egg and sperm. These are the sex cells. Okay, sperm and egg. Yung egg sa babae, yung sperm sa lalaki. So kapag nag-fertilize yan, okay, magfo-form siya into a zygote na eventually magiging bata, magiging organisms. Okay po? So offspring are different from the parent organism because of several reasons. For example, yung gene ng babae, iba naman ng gene ng lalaki. Okay, magbibigay ng gene yung babae, magbibigay ng gene yung lalaki, then mag-fuse yung dalawa, so totally it's a separate. Okay? So magkaiba po ng genes. Okay? So, hindi ko masyadong i-explain sa inyo kung bakit different yung organism, yung offspring from parents, kasi it's a more detailed and it's covered in another discussion naman. Okay? So, basta magkaiba. Okay? Okay, so it requires two parents that have egg and sperm. Okay? So, in humans, we have, di ba, meron tayong 46 chromosomes. So, during meiosis or halimbawa, creation of sperm or spermatogenesis, so the father will give 23% or 23 chromosomes or half the number of chromosomes ng lalaki, 23. Also, half the number of chromosomes ng babae, 23. So, kapag nagkaroon ng, for example, mating, or for example, nag-sex, or copulation, there are many terms associated with sexual reproduction like copulation, sex, mating, pollination, iba-iba yan, madaming terms yan, okay? So, mag-fuse siya, 23 plus 23, it will become 46. Okay, this 46 is now a fertilized egg. So, something like this one. Okay? So, yan. Nag-combine na yung genetic material ng father and ng mother. Okay? So, ganyan na. So, then, after fertilization, magkakaroon ng series of cell division. You call that as mitosis. Then, eventually, it will form yan. So, magiging embryo, magiging fetus, baby, infant, hanggang sa ngayon. Okay? So, ganyan po. So, normally, generally, mas malaki yung egg cell as compared to the sperm cell. Okay? Kasi yung egg cell, buwan-buwan yan na nire-release ng ovary. Yung sperm cell, any time of the day, pwede mag-release ng sperm ang lalaki. Okay po? So, millions, hundreds of millions yung sperm, pero yung babae, one lang every month. Diba? So, yan. Okay, so yan. So, this is more of a genetics. So, for example, ito yung sa from mom na chromosome. So, ito brown eye, yung kay dad. Yung kay mom naman, blue eye. Okay? So, Dark hair, blonde hair yung kay ma'am. Kasi magkaiba naman sila, ma'am and dad. Not so smart, smart. Okay, so tongue roller, tongue roller. Okay, so parehas. Okay, so pag nag-pair siya, okay, so either one will come out. So hindi naman pwedeng parehas. So halimbawa, pwedeng maging brown yung eye ng anak, pwedeng maging blue. So, it depends. Okay? It depends on, that's on the genetic level na. So, hindi na natin siya masyadong pag-uusapan. Okay? So, there are methods. Okay? Kung sa asexual reproduction, we have methods of asexual like budding, binary fission, parthenogenesis, fragmentation, regeneration. Dito sa sexual reproduction, we have also terms like this. Pollination. Pollination is notable for plants. Meron tayong pollen. Pollens are contains sperms. Okay? So we have also external fertilization. Ibig sabihin, yung pag-fuse ng sperm and egg sa labas ng katawan ng babae nangyayari. Okay? So hindi ito sa tao. We have internal fertilization. Ito naman, sa loob ng katawan ng babae or lalaki, nag-fertilize yung egg kasi sa loob nga ng katawan. Okay, so meron tayong 3. Pollination, external, and internal. Okay? So for pollination, yung sexual organs ng ng plants sa flower mo siya makikita. Okay? So sa flower. So pollen is produced in the male organs of the flowers. You call this male organ as anther. Okay, so yan o. Ay, sorry. Ayan, yung kulay yellow yan sa flower. For example, imagine niyo na lang yung gumamela plant. Okay, so yan. So, yan yung stamen. Okay, so sa taas ng stamen, you call that as anther. Okay, so anther, yung sa anther, dyan mo makukuha yung mga pollens or pollen grains. So, meron dyang sperm sa loob. Okay? So, then, halimbawa, ito yung sa gitna naman, you call that class as a style. Okay po, style or stigma. Diyan po nag-attach yung pollen and yung pollen magbababa papunta sa egg. Once it reaches the egg, okay, so mag-form na siya into seed which is the embryo of the plant. Okay? Then the seed germinates and becomes another matured plant. Okay po? So, baki-analyze na lang ng diagram. Okay? So, that's how pollination works. Okay? So, in pollination of plants, we have 2 types. We have cross-pollination. Pag sinabing cross-pollination, one plant produces just one type of egg. For example, either sperm or egg. Pag self-pollination, one plant produces both sperm and egg. So yun, hindi niya na kailangang kumuha ng another plant. Okay? Basta tandaan nyo, kapag sexual reproduction, it involves fusion of sperm and egg. Okay pa? Or the sexes. Okay? For external fertilization naman, class, sa labas. Okay, so this is notable for lizards, for reptiles, okay? So external fertilization usually requires a medium. Pag sinabing medium, doon mo parang ilalagay yung egg or sperm mo, okay? Example nito yung water. So which the sperms can use to swim towards the egg cell. Okay, so yan. Sa labas po magmi-meet or magmi-meeting yung egg and sperm. Okay? So, external fertilization usually occur in fish and amphibians. Okay po. So, the females lay eggs in the water and the male squirts. Pag sinabing squirts, parang magpapalabas siya ng sperm in the same area para magsama or mag-meet yung egg and sperm nila sa tubig. Okay po? So, that's external fertilization. For internal fertilization, kailangan mo dito ng methods such as, yun na yung sinasabi ko. Ito na yung sinasabi ko na kailangan merong copulation. Okay? Or sex, copulation, or mating, sexual intercourse, madaming terms na associated sa internal fertilization. Okay? So, fertilization or the meeting of sperm and egg cell should be done within the female, sa loob ng babae. Okay po? So, internal fertilization occurs in mammals like us kasi we are mammals. Also with insects, birds, and reptiles. Okay? So, for mammals like gorillas, lions, elephants, rats, zebras, and dolphins have live births. Ibig sabihin, pinapanganak yung offspring, buhay na bata na. Pero for insects and birds and reptiles, they lay eggs. Nangingitlog. Okay, nangingitlog sila like ahas. Okay, so nagkaroon sila ng mating, then mag-iitlog, tapos kailangan pa nilang i-nurture yung itlog to become a mature offspring natin. Okay po? So that's internal fertilization, and this is where we belong. Okay? So, yan. So, sa loob ng katawan ng babae, pinagbubuntis. Okay? So, yan. Sexual reproduction produces a greater chance of variation. Pag sinabing variation, pagkakaiba. Okay? So, ibang-iba siya sa parent, yung anak. Okay? Within a species that's asexual, than a sexual reproduction would. So, if you're going to compare that with a sexual. So, this variation improves the chances that a species will adapt to his environment and survive. Ito na yung sinasabi kong variation contributes to survival of the species. Okay? So yan. So, let's go back again. Asexual and sexual. Pag sinabing asexual, one parent, walang sperm and egg. And this is genetically identical to the parent. Pag sexual, merong dalawang parents, should be male and female, merong egg and sperm, okay? And this is genetically different, hindi identical. Okay? So, yan. Let me show you this one. So, this is the same topic, however, there are certain topics. This one. Ito. Okay? So, for sexual, it should have fertilization. Okay? When egg and sperm fertilize or fuse together or join together, a new cell is formed and that is called a zygote. Okay po? So, dinadagdagan lang natin yung So, yung male hindi po naglalabas ng egg, kundi sperm. Huwag pong kakalimutan. Okay? So, yan. Yung sperm and egg, these are called sex cells. Okay? Or in genetics, you call this one as allosomes. Okay? Pag body cells, autosomes. Okay? So, advantage nito. Ano yung advantage ng sexual reproduction? So, for sexual reproduction, syempre, merong genetic variation among the offspring. So, half of the DNA comes from mom, half comes from dad. Okay? So, due to genetic variation, individuals within population have slight differences. And this will lead to adaptation. Differentiation leads to adaptation of the species. Okay? So, for plants, it resists diseases. Okay? Traits can develop to resist harsh environments that allows the organism to survive. Okay? Kasi kung walang variation, magkakaroon ng problema. Okay? So, diseases. Okay? Kaya baga, bawal maging mag-asawa yung magkapatid, magpinsan kasi konti yung variation nila. Okay? Madaming disorder na pwedeng mag-come out from the offspring. Okay? Kaya bawal pong magkaanak ang magkapatid, ang mag-asawa. It's forbidden by the law kasi yun na nga, meron siyang genetic basis. Nagkakaroon ng mga disorders yung magiging anak. Okay po? And throughout the generation, mapapasa yan sa through inheritance. Okay po? So, yan. Kaya yung batas natin, meron siyang genetic basis. Okay po? Kaya hindi pwede mag-asawa yung magkapatid or magpinsan or close relatives. Okay? So, dapat it should be unique, magkakaiba, para magkaroon ng genetic variation. Okay? Also, ang advantage niya for selective breeding, yung sa sexual reproduction, okay? Pwede kang pwede kang makapag-develop into kung anong gusto mong traits sa isang offspring, okay? And this is applicable for agriculture, farming. So sa agriculture kasama na diyan yung fisheries, okay, yung sa plants, okay, etc. Okay pa. So desirable pets, 'di ba? Yung mga hybrid. Okay? So hybrids are actually a product of sexual reproduction. Kumukuha sila ng magandang trait sa mom and magandang trait sa dad. Okay po? So, magkaroon ng variation para magkaroon ng desirable trait. Okay? So also, ang disadvantage naman ng sexual reproduction, matagal. 'Di ba sa asexual like binary fission, like fragmentation, madali lang yung proseso. It does not require time and energy, okay? Pero sa sexual reproduction, matagal. Halimbawa for humans, magbubuntis ka pa ng 9 months. Okay? So matagal mag-develop yung baby, okay? So until they are old enough to produce sex cells. Okay? Halimbawa, magre-reproduce, baby na siya, okay? Pinanganak mo na siya and pinagbuntis mo na siya ng 9 months. Yung baby mong yun, hindi yun magre-reproduce unless matured na siya. Halimbawa, mga age of 14 or 13 years. Okay? So medyo matagal ang sexual reproduction for some kind of organisms. Okay po? So also, ang disadvantage, kailangan mo pang maghanap ng mate mo or magiging asawa mo. Okay? So kapag sinwerte ka, good. Pero pag hindi ka pa sinwerte, yun pa yung malas mo. Okay? So that's the disadvantage. Okay? So also, searching can expose individuals to predators, diseases, or harsh environmental factors. Okay? So yun. So next, fertilization cannot take place during pregnancy, which can last as long as 2 years for some mammals. Diba? Yung sa elephants, I think 2 years yung kanilang pregnancy. Okay? During pregnancy, hindi ka pa makakapag-produce ng another offspring. Okay? So, intayin mo muna makapag-separate or mag-ovulate ka before you can produce another offspring. So, that is disadvantage. Okay? So, yan. So, next, for sexual reproduction, and these are examples in dogs, plants, birds, plants, ano pa to? For some reptiles, okay, arachnids. So these are examples of sexual reproduction. Okay? Asexual, one parent. Okay, tandaan, uniform offspring. Okay, because it's genetically identical. Okay, so this is for fission. So pinag-usapan na natin to. Okay? Budding, pinag-usapan na natin to. Yung outgrowth. Okay? So in the case of corals, offspring may remain attached to form a colony. Hindi na siya humihiwalay. Okay, hindi na siya humihiwalay doon sa parent cell. Nagpo-form na lang sila ng colony in the case of corals. Okay po, yung sa budding. Okay, for regeneration, ito yung sa starfish, yung sa lizard, okay? It produces new organisms. Okay po? Regeneration or fragmentation. Okay, vegetative propagation, there are many examples. So yan, yung roots, merong runner, merong rhizomes, merong buds. Okay, so yan, iba-iba yung ano. Okay, ito yung advantage ng asexual reproduction. Number 1, okay, kahit wala kang mate, you can reproduce. Okay? So, kasi single parent lang, kaya mo magkaroon ng baby or anak. Okay? So, no way wasted time and energy as compared to sexual. Hindi ka na maghahanap ng mate mo. Okay? Mas madali. Okay? So, you don't need to have sex. Okay? So, that's advantage. Okay? So, enable some organisms to rapidly produce large number of uniform offspring. So, in just short span of time, so nadodoble. Okay? It can double the population of a particular organism. Okay? So, yan. Ang disadvantage naman, walang genetic variation. Ito na yung sinasabi ko that without genetic variation, this leads to, anong tawag dito? Diseases, vulnerability to diseases. Okay? Okay, so dangerous mutation. So, kasi walang kapag nagkaroon ng mutation yung mother, may disease siya, since yung offspring exact replicas of mother, whatever the genetic material or diseases that mother has, that will be passed on to the parent, and then yun magkakaproblema. Generation to generation, napapasa na yung mutation, yung mga diseases or disorders. Okay? And eventually, if hindi man mag-survive, yun na yung nagiging nagkakos ng extinction ng particular species. So, it's very important na merong variation sa offspring. Okay? So, that's the disadvantage. Okay, so these are examples. Ito yung sa hydra, cactus. Okay po. So, asexual reproduction. Okay? So, I have to show you this one. This contains sort of recitation. Sorry. Okay, so sexual reproduction. Yung arrow, it represents male. Yung cross, it represents female. So, tandaan nyo kapag bibili kayo ng kwintas, dapat kung babae kayo, bilhin nyo yung pa-cross. Sabi nga nila, pag pa-cross, meaning madasalin yung babae. Pag naman, arrow, patusok. Okay, so yun yung pa-arrow. Ibig sabihin, directive. Siya yung parang nasusunod yung lalaki. Okay, so that's just the symbol. Two parents, okay, sperm and egg. There should be fertilization. Okay, mixed DNA, mother from father. Okay, so yan. So, given na to. Yan yung fertilization, diba? During fertilization, it should fuse. The sperm should fuse with the egg. Okay, so alam nyo na to, no sex cells for asexual. Okay, so for binary fission, divides in half. So, alam nyo na to. So, let's skip this one. So, budding. Okay, outgrowth. Merong outgrowth. Okay, two different size. Like yeast and hydra. Okay, so bud breaks off and grows to another organisms. Pero, there are species like corals na hindi na nagbe-break off yung outgrowth. Okay, nagpo-form na lang sila ng colony. Okay, so yeast, hydra. Okay, regeneration for starfish, lizards. Okay, it repair or grow lost body parts. Okay. Leftover cells divide and make more cells. Like lobsters, starfish, lizards. Okay, so eto, you answer this one. What type of reproduction is this? Is this budding? Okay, very good. Correct. This is budding. So, it forms an outgrowth. Okay, very good. It's an asexual form of reproduction. How about this one? How about this one, class? Ano yan? Okay, very good, Jasmine. It's binary fission. So, notable for single-celled organisms like bacteria, like single-celled eukaryotes. Okay, like paramecium. Okay, how about this one? What type of reproduction? This one is? Ano siya? Anyone? You can chat your answer, okay? So this one is binary fission. So this is a Bacillus bacterium. Okay? So this one is, you type your answer or you speak out your answers. This one is? Okay, very good. This one is fragmentation. Okay, so, or specifically, regeneration. Okay po? So, yan. So, how about this one? This one is sexual reproduction. What particular type of sexual reproduction? This is what? You can message or speak out your answer. This is, okay, so this is internal fertilization. Okay, so internal kasi that should be internal sexual fertilization. How about this one? Okay, so this one is, again, this is budding. Okay, so for yeast cells. Okay, so budding po, budding. Okay? So, hindi siya binary kasi yung isa maliit, yung isa malaki. So, this one is budding. Okay? So, how about this one? This one is, that one is what? Okay, so that's binary fission. Okay po? So, yan. So, how about this one? This one is? Okay, so this one is regeneration. Okay, so that's good. So, how about this one? You try to speak out or message your answer. This one is? That's binary fission. Okay po? Binary fission. Ibig sabihin, one parent cell divides into completely two daughter identical cells. Okay, so how about this one? This one is? Okay, budding for yeast cells. Okay po? So, very good. So, how about this one? This one is? This one is what? Okay, binary fission. Okay, how about this one? Okay, regeneration. Okay, how about this one? Oh, this one is? Okay, so sexual reproduction can be internal or external as long as the sperm finds the egg. Okay, internal or external. Okay, so how about this one? Okay, so this is the difference of sexual and sexual reproduction. Okay po? So, yan po yung difference. So, remember the differences among between sexual and asexual reproduction. So, there are many examples. Okay po? So, yan.